Welcome to Stump the Pastor. This is our 52nd edition. And our question today comes from Patty in Minnesota. And she asks, why is Revelation included in the Bible? What's the purpose of it? So much symbolism, it's hard to understand. Well, Patty, I believe this is my first question about how a book of the Bible came to be. So thank you for asking the question. As you can imagine, the book of the Revelation was one of those books that almost didn't make it into the compilation that we now call the Bible. The council that decided which books were canon, that is, which were Holy Scripture, and which books didn't measure up, caused a great deal of debate and dissent over the decades. And Revelation wasn't the only book that faced such a fate, but it probably had the most difficult time to be included. We don't know a great deal about how this book came to be. We only have hints. The most satisfactory explanation I have heard is that Revelation was originally written sometime between 60 and 96 in the Common Era. That would put it at most just a couple of generations from the life of Jesus. It was probably written in Hebrew first and then translated into Greek. We think this because the Greek is particularly sloppy in several places. And it probably went through several editions and modifications. Although it is odd in the Newer Testament documents, Revelation follows the pattern of the apocalyptic books of the Older Testament, like Daniel and Amos. Revelation has enjoyed a steady, small following through the centuries. It seems that a good apocalyptic story has fascinated religious people since the dawn of curiosity. But to Patty's question about the symbolism, you're right, it is hard to understand. It is believed that Revelation was originally written in just such that way to avoid deciphering by the Roman authorities, which it seems to be particularly aimed at, and it goes out of its way to particularly skewer Caesar's Nero and Domitian. It gained a greater audience during the time leading up to the fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the Jewish state by the Romans around 70 Common Era. Now, if this date proves correct, it will mark a pattern among Jewish apocalyptic literature centering on moments of great upheaval of the Jewish state. So namely, the times of the destruction of Babylon, the destruction by the Assyrians, and finally the destruction by the Romans. The other thing to keep in mind is that Revelation became accepted among Christian communities. It would become reinterpreted every time Christianity went through a great trauma, like the fall of the Roman Empire, the division of Eastern and Western Christianity, the rise of tyrants, and the destruction of world war. The advantage that Revelation enjoys is that since it is so opaque, every generation gets to see itself in the horrors and atrocities its pages describe. Perhaps it is a narcissistic trait in human nature to see ourselves in apocalyptic literature. What it more likely reveals is how consistent human nature is in times of upheaval. So my advice to everyone is this. If you hear someone using the Revelation as a description for what is currently happening in the world, they got it wrong. See you next time on Stump the Pastor. Thanks for the question, Patty. I always like getting questions from you because you always make me have to think. I enjoy them from the rest of you too. Send them to me. My email address is on the bottom of your screen. See you next time on Stump the Pastor.